The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
The latest trends and hottest topics, love and sex, handled honestly and with passion. Here's Dr. Laurie, CJAD 800. Sitting in tonight is Paris Mansouri.
Welcome to the program. This is Passion, a show all about love, sex, and relationships. My name is Paris. I've been sitting in for Dr. Laurie all week. She's been on vacation. She's been enjoying Spain and Morocco, and she's on her way back, I think right now or early tomorrow morning. So tomorrow night, you're going to have her company yet again, but tonight, it's myself keeping her seat warm. And as I say at the beginning of every show when I fill in for her, I'm not a doctor. So while I'm away, I bring in the experts. And tonight, we are discussing dating dilemmas. It's a once a month topic. We talk dating, answering all your dating questions. It's sponsored by EliteSpeedDating.com, and in studio, as always, on this topic, we've got Frank Kermit. He's a dating coach. He's the author of many, many books and audio lectures as well. His website is franktalks.com. Welcome to the program.
Happy to be here for Dating Dilemmas number 95.
Is it really?
Yep, this is the 95th month of Dating Dilemmas.
Wow. And tonight we are talking about hookup culture and dating in a hookup culture environment.
The struggle for people who want to date and are seeking more serious relationships and only finding people who just want to have sex and don't want any strings attached, just want casual encounters and are not necessarily looking for anything serious, and their frustrations.
We had a guest on Monday night. His name is David Ogden. He's the author of a book called Focus, Slay Your Goals, and it's a personal development book, but it involves love and relationships. He's also a personal development coach and a self-help coach, been doing this for 40 years. He says if you find that somebody is emotionally unavailable, it's because you're emotionally unavailable. What do you think?
There is some truth to that. People will attract like attracts like. The way we break that behavior pattern is that we set certain behaviors that we want to follow, and it's not necessarily what we're drawn to, but what we need to do despite not wanting to. Which means if you're really attracted to somebody, and that person says, I'm only looking for this kind of relationship structure, and you want something else, you don't give in to your immediate feelings of, oh, but I really like the person, maybe I can change the person. You say thanks, but no thanks, and despite how disappointed you are, you move on.
Okay, we are speaking with Frank Kermit. He's in studio. He's going to answer your questions. You can call us in, you can call in with your questions, 514-790-0800. You can send us a text as well, 514-800. As I mentioned, we're talking about dating in a hookup culture. We're going to answer these questions, the overview. Why are people reluctant to date for relationships and just want to hook up?
Well, for some people, they just find it's a matter of convenience. They're not looking for anything serious, or they associate a lot of bad things with getting serious. Some people are in a stage of their life where there is no motivation to get serious. They want to go out, they want to have fun. So somebody might not even be interested in looking. Then you have a segment of the population that might be terrified of getting serious with the wrong person. Nobody's afraid of getting serious with the right person. Everybody's terrified of getting serious with the wrong person. You end up in a serious relationship with somebody who could end up using you, abusing you, taking half your stuff in the case of a divorce. People are generally very afraid of getting too serious, but they still want to connect. They still want companionship. They still want sex. So they go out to get their needs met without putting themselves at a higher emotional and or financial status risk.
Is it possible to be successful and find that despite having your guard up to that level?
As long as you know what it is you're looking for and you are in the habit of asserting your boundaries, then yes, you can have your guard up, put yourself out there. But you also have to be a little bit more proactive in screening the person that you're meeting. You have to ask them the right questions. You also have to trust yourself and teach yourself to be a good judge of character. And that is something that you learn by going out and dating. It's not something you do just reading a book. You get some coaching, you go out, you date, and you have to learn how to ask for what you want and then test the person to make sure that they're telling you the truth.
Okay, we're speaking with Frank Kermit. Dating Dilemmas is a monthly feature that Frank does with Dr. Laurie. And this is the 95th edition.
95th edition. Almost 10 years.
We are speaking about dating in a hookup culture tonight. Here's another question. Is a casual single hookup culture better than getting into a serious relationship? Like, why is it so bad? If you kind of have an idea of what you want, why should you just be looking to commit? Because it could be a while before you find your partner.
Okay, well, let's look at people at different stages. For example, let's say you're a woman in your mid-20s, and you do eventually want to get married and have kids one day. Okay, let's say we're dealing with somebody in that specific situation. If you get too serious too soon with the wrong person, with somebody that has no interest or no real intention of getting serious with you, and you date that person for 5 years, you're in your mid-20s. By the time you get out of that relationship, you're in your early 30s. So if you still want to have kids, if you still want to plan a future, you've got less time available to you. So it might not be a wise thing to get too serious too soon with the wrong person. Again, the key here, and this is something I want to make clear, I'm actually a very pro getting into serious relationships with the right person. When you meet somebody that is the right person for you, it is amazing. It can be fantastic. Finding the right person, that's the key. And getting serious with the wrong person can sometimes lead to a lot of problems.
We have a text coming in, our first one of the evening. And if you want to text in your questions, it's 514-800. We're talking dating dilemmas, dating in a hookup culture. With me in studio is Frank Kermit. He's a dating coach. He's the author of many books, many audio lectures, and his website is franktalks.com. So this texter says, okay, my dilemma is that I'm 26 and female, and I do not want hookups. I'm very clear about this. However, no matter who I end up meeting, they always bounce as soon as I make it clear and stick to my guns that it isn't just for a hookup. I have been lied to countless times by people saying they're looking for something more, just like me. How can I weed out people that are lying from the ones that actually have intentions beyond just getting into my pants?
Fantastic question. Here is how you weed them out. You ask them to see if they have a life plan. That's what you want to know. If someone says, I'm looking for something serious eventually, great. What is eventually to you? Are you looking to get married one day? Do you believe in marriage? Do you believe in living together? Now, when I tell people to do this, one of the big reactions I get is, but come on, I've just met the person, or we're still just texting back and forth. We haven't met yet. Yeah. If someone is open to those possibilities, if someone is open to getting serious one day, they probably have a plan. Maybe they're waiting until they finish school. Maybe they're waiting for a very specific life event to happen, and that's what they've got planned. If someone doesn't have a plan, chances are they're just looking for a hookup. And although everybody is quote-unquote open to the possibility of a serious relationship, that's not enough. You actually have to have an idea of what you're looking for. Do you know what you're looking for? Yeah, I get it. If the right person comes along, you'd be open to it. How do you define the right person? What is it you're looking for specifically? What are the signs that the other person is going to exhibit that make you say, that voice on the inside, that's the person I want to be with? Have those conversations. Because if all you're doing is just saying, oh, well, yeah, they said they want something serious, that's not enough of an answer to go on to go and meet them if you don't want to be part of the hookup culture.
Tonight, it's Dating Dilemmas. We are talking about dating in a hookup culture. You're listening to Passion. We're on every weeknight from 10 to 11 p.m. talking love, sex, and relationship. Tonight, I've got Frank Kermit in studio with me to help answer your questions. You can text or call in. You can text in your questions at 514-800 or call us at 514-790-0800.
Your relationship's on the line. Connect with Dr. Laurie now. 514-790-0800. Passion. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800. Sitting in tonight is Paris Mansouri.
Welcome back to the program. Once a month, we talk about all things dating. We're answering your questions. It's Dating Dilemmas. It's sponsored by EliteSpeedDating.com. In studio with me, Frank Kermit. He's a dating coach. He's the author of multiple books, audio lectures. You can connect with him at franktalks.com. And we're taking your questions. Text him in 514-800, or you can call us at 514-790-0800. We've got more questions, Frank. The next one says, I've always found that the biggest difference between men and women is that when a man meets a woman, he wants her to stay exactly as she is, going out to clubs and restaurants and concerts, comedy shows, all that sort of stuff. When a woman meets a man, all she wants to do is change him. And the final, I don't understand what that word, the men never change and women's always do.
I understand what you're trying to say. The idea is that, generally speaking, men hope that women never change, and women just don't date the guy they have. They're trying to turn him into the guy that they want instead of as is. One of the general rules is that you date everybody as is. And you have to understand that as your life changes, as you move through different stages in life, whether it be parenthood, losing health, gaining health, going through different stages, people will change according to those stages. What you're looking for when you're trying to find someone to build a future with is that you want some kind of compatible main values that likely are not going to change even though the things around them may change. Preferences will change. Your core values generally are things that won't change, and that's what you're looking for in terms of compatibility. If you can find someone that has the same core values as you do, you have a really good shot at making it work long term.
Do core values change over time?
They can, but it usually takes some kind of great catharsis or major life crisis to make somebody see the world completely different.
We're speaking with Frank Kermit. He's a dating coach. He's written many books. He's behind many audio lectures. You can connect with him at franktalks.com. We're taking your questions. And here we have another one. It says, I find a good question is, when were you last with your last boyfriend and why did you break up? That usually helps sometimes figure out, because a person, whether they were too religious, only wanted sex, wanted to get married, and stuff like that. And it says, happened to my wife before I met her.
I think that's a fantastic question. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. You don't just take somebody at their word and say, oh yeah, I want to get serious one day, and when actually they might want to get serious one day, just not with you. You want to find out and pinpoint what was it that made you leave your last partners, because, maybe that's a sign that I should be paying attention to so I don't get my hopes up. Because there was something that they left a past partner for that applies to me.
Then what?
Well, if you feel that, there's probably, so-and-so left the last partner for, quote-unquote, let's say, being too religious. If you are a religious person, then you can pretty well anticipate that it's not going to work out for you. So now you have a choice to make. Do you want to take part in the hookup culture and enjoy the casual sex and the casual connection the two of you have? Or do you say, I'm not going to put my time here. I'm looking for someone I can build a future with. Thank you very much.
We're speaking about dating and a hookup culture with Frank Kermit. Our next texter says, I'm a 53-year-old male. I met a young lady during our Friday night bowling league. Now, when we are at bowling, we would joke around about each other, drinks, and even chat on Facebook. But when I even hint of asking her out to drinks or to dinner or just coffee, she clams up and doesn't answer at all. Could she just be afraid to answer or just not interested and afraid to say it?
The rule is, look, it doesn't matter if she's interested but too shy, or she's dealing with something, etc., or if she's not interested. You have hinted at getting together, and she has blown you off. Okay? Don't waste your time here. Don't confuse someone liking the attention they get from you and someone liking you. There are some people out there that enjoy attention. They thrive on attention. They have zero interest in carrying it further. That's why you don't waste any time. If you're interested in someone and you've gotten to know them, and then you say, hey, we should meet up for a coffee. If they don't jump on that opportunity, if they quote-unquote need to be pursued, maybe they need to be pursued. But if you've got to work that hard, maybe they're not worth it. There's too many people out there who want to date you. If you open your eyes and you're aware of what's around you, you shouldn't have to pursue that much. If you got to pursue that much, it may not be worth it in the end. So no, just don't waste your time. You've given her the opportunity. She didn't jump on it. If she wants you to pursue that much, maybe she's using you for attention, and nobody wants to be used for that.
When marriage and hookup culture combine, we've got a texter here. It says, why are there married and common law couples having an open relationship? If they're having an open relationship, then why should they still even be together anymore? I often wonder if it's because of a lack of emotional maturity, sexual addictions, etc. I also hear of this happening more with homosexual and bisexual people. Thanks for a great show.
Oh, I love this question. All right. So for the person asking this question, are there people that will opt for an open relationship or what we call just a non-monogamous relationship for some of the reasons you mentioned? Sure. There are people who may be coping with something that may be less than stellar. However, the vast majority of people who practice consensual non-monogamy, and you're looking at 21% of the population, they practice open relationships because that's where they find a sense of balance. I want to make that clear. They're not opting for it because, quote unquote, they hate monogamy or any of these other reasons. The vast majority practice consensual non-monogamy because they want to be honest with their partners about what they're doing. And that's how they find a sense of balance. The same way there are people that practice monogamy because for them, monogamy gives them that sense of peace and balance. No one relationship structure works for everyone. You have to find the one that works for you. I actually have a book on this, on monogamy and non-monogamy, explaining the differences in mindset and how to manage both relationships. Some people are just better geared towards monogamy. Some people are better geared towards consensual non-monogamy. Just have to figure out what works for you. But when you're saying, why would they stay together? For the same reason any monogamous couple would stay together. They want to build a future together. And they just have a different set of rules that they follow.
When it comes to sexuality.
When it comes to sexuality, sometimes it's a matter of recreational sex, and sometimes they have emotional relationships with other partners. And it really is up to the individuals there to negotiate it. Look, with monogamy, there's two main rules. You only have sex with one person, and number two, you don't do anything that's a threat to that rule number one. Pretty straightforward. In non-monogamy, you can structure any relationship structure you want. The key is to find someone that's already believing in the same thing as opposed to trying to convert someone. And that could include all kinds of things, whether it's emotional relationships with others, only sexual relationships with others, a combination. You just have to figure out what works for you.
We're speaking with Frank Kermit. He is a dating coach. He's an author of many books on multiple topics when it comes to relationship and dating, audio lectures. You can connect with him at franktalks.com. We're taking your questions tonight. You can text him in at 514-800 or you can call in 514-790-0800. We have a texter from Calgary. It says, hello, I'm a recent listener from Calgary, Alberta, and I'd like to thank you for providing this information to us. I'm wondering how intimacy develops on dates and how I can help foster its growth. I normally like to help people with their problems, but if my date is talking about her problems, should I listen or try and focus on having a good time?
Okay, there's a line for you. First of all, great that you're listening in from Calgary. We love that. Love the international audience. If your date is talking about their problems, you need to recite the following line. Stop. I'm not your therapist. When you're with me, we have fun. Dating is no time for a therapy session. It's great that you want to help people, but first of all, you're on a date. You're trying to find out if you can have a romantic connection or not.
What if that person is just confiding in them and feeling like, oh, wow, I really like this guy. I can trust them with this.
If it's a first date or the first couple of dates, that's no time to be delving into your deepest and darkest problems, looking for a sensitive ear. Go to your friends for that. You want to build something, you want to build that intimacy, okay, you can build that over time. But initially, you want to find out if you connect. You got to be mindful here. Let's say we're talking about a deep, dark core hurt, okay, that was traumatic. That's not something you should be sharing on a first couple of dates with somebody you've just met. They are not there to be your therapist. You're not on a date to find someone to heal you. Do your healing on your own time. You want to find someone that you want to build a future with, and if that's not what you're interested in, you're looking for a casual encounter, none of your casual encounter partners need to know about your deepest, darkest problems either.
We're taking your questions tonight with Frank Kermit, dating coach. You can connect with him at franktalks.com. He's beyond a dating coach. He's an author and a speaker. We've got a texter here. It says, as a bisexual woman, I can say from experience that I have dated more women who are honest about what they want and willing to move on when told that being friends with benefits or casual hookups are out of the question than I have men. I've had so many men lie to me and pretend they were interested in building a future with me than I have with women. Why do so many men these days seem to act like women are just for sex and are a game to win at any cost?
I'm so sorry that's happened to you. That really, really is unfortunate. I'm not going to just paint a brush and say that all men think like this about women. I would point out that men generally have to work for sex. Okay, now this is not to justify lying to women. I don't do that. I've been coaching now for over a decade. I never tell men to lie to women. Why do some men do it, though? Because generally speaking, men have to work for sex. They have to pay for sex. In prostitution, men are the ones who are usually the clients paying. Men are the one expected to make the first move. Men are the one expected to do the courting. Men are the ones expected to ask and make the first moves. They have to work for sex. Women are on the receiving end of sexual attention. They don't necessarily have to work for sex, so they always have more options if they do decide that they want to have sex or relationships. Men have to work for it, and some of them just want a faster way of getting it. I'm not saying it's right, it's not right, but if you wanted a reason why they do it, that's the reason.
You're listening to Passion. We're on every weeknight from 10 to 11 p.m. talking love, sex, and relationships. Tonight, it's dating dilemmas. We're going to continue talking about hookup culture and taking your questions. Text us in 514-800. But first, we're going to head over to the newsroom and check on the latest.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
From the pleasure to the pain and everything in between. Passion with Dr. Laurie. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800. Sitting in tonight is Paris Mansouri.
Welcome back to the program. Once a month, we talk about all things dating. We're answering all your questions. And by the way, if you're wondering where Dr. Laurie is, she's going to be back tomorrow. Fear not. But until then, I'll be filling in for her, keeping her chair warm, and I've brought in the expert to answer all your dating questions. We've got Frank Kermit. He is a dating coach. He's written many books and is behind many audio lectures. You can find them all. Yeah, you can find them all at franktalks.com.
franktalks.com, one-stop shop.
Wonderful. And by the way, Dating Dilemmas is sponsored by EliteSpeedDating.com. We've got a lot of text to get to still. We're going to try to get to all of them. This one, Frank, it says, I am a single mother having a hard time finding a man to have a serious relationship because I have a delinquent son. The men I have dated cannot handle my son, or my son ruins the relationship on purpose. He is over 18, lives with me, and is on probation and can't hold on to a job. My son's father is not in the picture at all. No man I date has any interest in becoming responsible for supporting a son that is not his. What should I do to find a man to date?
Wow, my heart really goes out to you. This is, again, another unfortunate situation, but my advice may not be a popular bit of advice. I would say stop dating for a while, stop looking for a man to date. Focus on dealing with what's going on in your household. If you want to invite someone into your life to have a relationship with you, that relationship needs to better their lives too. And right now, that doesn't seem to be the situation. I get you're saying no man can handle this situation. It doesn't sound like you're handling the situation right now. I would just focus on helping your son and getting your son back on a better track. And once you have a more peaceful and working household, that's when you can put yourself back out there on the dating market.
We've got another texter. If you are talking to or dating someone who claims to want something serious but who seems emotionally unavailable, how long do you hang around before deciding to move on to the next?
I wouldn't hang around in any sort of committed way until commitment is earned. See the person once a week, and every week you want to learn a little bit more. And if they're behaving in an emotionally unavailable manner, make sure that's not the only person you're dating. You date the person maximum once a week until they earn your commitment. You don't commit and then wait to see if they're going to step up. They got to step up first and earn that commitment before you say no to dating anybody else.
What causes someone to want to, give and be all in before they've gotten that commitment?
You know, I'm going to just assume the best of people, because some people really just believe the best in the people that they date. So they want to give it a good, honest chance. They want to commit right away because they really feel that there's something there worthwhile for trying. And I love the intention behind it, but it's a destructive behavior pattern in today's day and age. You don't commit until the other person has earned that commitment from you. So what I always do is I use money as an example. At what point would you trust somebody by lending them $5,000? Well, chances are you wouldn't lend somebody $5,000 just dating once or twice or for 3 months. You might lend it to a friend that you've known for 20 years and who has already proven to be trustworthy. You might lend it to a family member who, again, you've known for years and has proven to be trustworthy. Would you lend $5,000 to somebody you've just met, even though you really, really feel good about the person? Chances are you wouldn't, because you recognize the value of $5,000. Hello? What do you think your commitment is worth? Your commitment is worth way more than $5,000, so don't give it up so easily.
I hope people remember that. That's a really great example. The first time I heard it, because people usually would not think to compare, money and love and relationship. Like, no, you can't do that. It's not the same thing. But I really think that's a very, very valid comparison. Frank Kermit, he is a dating coach. He's written many books. He's behind tons of audio lectures. Find out more about him, connect with him at franktalks.com. We're still taking your questions. Somebody just texted in saying, my health is way too important to me at 58 to take any chances with hookup hungry men who say they haven't got time to waste on prolonged courtship before sex. And now hearing your explanation about men needing to work for sex, therefore lying to get it, how can anybody weed out a man who says he's serious but just wants sex?
Okay, in your case, you're saying that you're worried about your health, so I'm assuming you're talking about sexually transmitted infections. No one's pressuring you to have sex right now. You decide if and when you choose to have sex. So, with that said, if you're not interested in having sex and you're looking for somebody who's willing to wait, then all you have to do is set a rule for yourself that you won't have sex for X time period, whatever you believe is a proper value. And when men are lying for sex, there's ways to figure out if they're serious or not. Things like, are you going to meet some of their friends? Are you meeting some of their family? Are you getting certain information about the life plan that they have and whether or not there's a role for you in that life plan? Now, can you always know whether or not someone is lying? Look, there's manipulators out there who do a very good job of it, and my heart goes out to anybody who's been manipulated. I think almost everybody, including myself, trusted the wrong person at different points in their lives. That's part of life. However, the best way to avoid any manipulator is to not break your own rules. That's what they look for. If you go out on a date and you tell somebody, we're not having sex on a first date, and then by the end of the date, you go ahead and have sex on a first date, you have just presented yourself as somebody who breaks your own rules. That's what manipulators look for. They look for people who are in the habit of breaking their own rules, and they know how to test for it. If you never break your own rules, it makes it more difficult for anybody to take advantage of you.
Frank Kermit, dating coach, author, speaker, is here answering your questions. We have a texter who says, I'm a 53-year-old male, met a former high school classmate at a supermarket. Relationship ended after about 9 months. She seems to have done the same with other boyfriends before me. She says I was too busy for her and didn't spend enough time with her and was repeating a theme. Your thoughts, Frank? And he says, you're number one in my book.
Why, thank you. I'm number one in my book, too. Okay, you weren't spending enough time with her. Now, the thing is, I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about the relationship you have. So I'm simply going to ask you this. Was her comment reasonable? Was she expecting a reasonable amount of time that you were not able to deliver on for the level of relationship you had? Or was she expecting something that was beyond the bounds of what would be considered reasonable? Was she expecting you to see her every single day and you've only been together for 2 months? Not reasonable. Was she expecting that she was going to spend every weekend with you, but you've been dating now for 2 years? That's a little more reasonable. If you're too busy for that, maybe you shouldn't be in a monogamous, committed relationship. Maybe you need to open it up and allow both of you to see other people if you just don't have a reasonable schedule. So without knowing more, that's the best answer I can give.
Somebody's just texted saying, is there a point in anyone's life where they can just give up on dating after trying for years without any good result?
I do know some people who have just completely given up and they have decided that they want to continue to be single and just find happiness being single. You don't have to be in a relationship to be happy. You don't even have to date in order to be happy. And this is the coach saying this, okay? I would say, though, it depends why you're giving up. If you're giving up because you don't believe that what you're looking for is out there, that could be a reason. Are you giving up because your expectations were unreasonable to begin with? And if you have really unreasonable expectations, maybe you have a fear of intimacy. And that's why you're giving up, because you didn't really want a relationship, or, you didn't want the responsibility that goes with a relationship. A lot of people see a relationship not as a source of pleasure, but as a source of pain because of the amount of work and responsibility
anxiety
that goes with it.
Causes.
And the anxiety. So some people don't want the pain, and that's why they choose to give up.
We're talking about dating and a hookup culture. Still so much to cover, but we're winding down, Frank. We're going to try to get to as many questions as possible. You're listening to Passion. We're on weeknights from 10 to 11 p.m. talking love, sex, and relationships. Still time to get your questions in, 514-800.
Straight talk that's all-inclusive. Passion with Dr. Laurie. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800. Sitting in tonight is Paris Mansouri.
Welcome back to the program. We've been taking your questions tonight. We're talking about dating in a hookup culture. Dating Dilemmas is a monthly feature. It's sponsored by EliteSpeedDating.com. In studio with me, Frank Kermit. He's a dating coach. He's the author of multiple books. He's a creator of multiple audio lectures. He's a speaker. You can connect with him at franktalks.com. Frank, somebody says, hey, help a young at heart. I'm still a working senior girl seeking same in a young at heart, maybe even a younger guy. Are there places known where to meet? Crescent Street, ? I don't play golf. Suggestions.
Okay, I would start off by suggesting meetup groups and look for dating meetup groups, singles meetup groups. There's also Facebook. There are Facebook groups that people are trying to start up, and these are for dating and singles Facebook groups. If you can't find one, start one. It doesn't cost that much to sign up on meetup.com and start up a meetup group for people in your age group. It doesn't cost anything to start a Facebook group and then reach out and try to attract people and then say, okay, everybody, on Thursday night, we're going to meet at such and such a place. And then you bring everybody together and it's a nice singles mingle. I even have some games on my website, franktalks.com. Just go to the blog. I have some games that you can play there as a big group of singles. The other thing I'm going to suggest is, do you have an idea of the type of men you want to date? What are they interested in doing? And as soon as you have a list of the type of guy you want to date and the interests that they have, go to events that cater to those interests.
We have somebody with a question in the same vein. It says, how to attract a man in his 60s and what should I know about dating a man of that age?
Find out what the particular man in his 60s is into. And what should you know about a guy in his 60s? Well, the first thing you got to realize is that in that age group, women outnumber men. So chances are he's probably going to be getting a lot of attention. If he's attractive enough, he's not going to have any problem finding a girlfriend. So you have to understand that he may be dating a couple of people casually. You may have a little bit more competition just because there's a lot more women in that age group aiming for a lot less men. And depending on what his experiences were, if he's a widow and had a very good experience, he's going to be open to more serious relationships. If he's gone through a nasty divorce, he's going to factor that in as to whether or not he's going to trust you right away or makes you work a little harder to earn his trust.
Somebody says, shouldn't a person already be loving themselves before they can love anyone else in any type of relationship, whether it's in a marriage, dating, or even a stranger? How would you define love that is real and healthy? Can you define what loving oneself is?
Yes, I can. Loving yourself is knowing exactly what your personal boundaries are and being able to express them. That is a sure sign that you love yourself. You see, everybody knows things that they like and things that they don't like, but they're not always ready to say, hey, this is the line that I'm drawing and I don't want you to cross it. Because they're too afraid of what they might lose. They want somebody else's validation. They want someone else's attention. They don't want to be alone. Well, not wanting to be alone usually is a sign that you don't like yourself enough to be alone with yourself. So when I'm working with somebody and we're trying to work on somebody having self-love, that's one of the first steps. Can you communicate and express your boundaries? The second thing is, let's make a list of all the things you take for granted about yourself. Because if you take yourself for granted, if I list these 10 qualities about you that are great, and you say, yeah, well, everybody's got those, or yeah, like it's sort of great, but if you know how earlier somebody said, Frank, you're number one in my book, and I said, yeah, I'm number one in my book too. That's a sign of self-love. I don't waste time with trying to be extra humble when I don't mean it. I know I have a lot to offer. I'm not perfect. I got flaws, but I like myself enough. I like myself that when someone crosses a line with me, I let them know. And I like myself enough that I recognize the value I bring to the table as much as I recognize all the things that I'm not perfect on. And believe me, I am not a perfect human being. My wife will definitely attest to that.
So let's say somebody does enjoy spending time alone to the point that, they like their space, they like their boundaries, they like their apartment, house set up the way it is. And it kind of becomes a nuisance when somebody else comes in and takes up space in that space. And it's kind of like, I really like you and I really enjoy spending time with you, but I prefer being alone. Is that a sign that you're maybe too into yourself and not open to others? Or is that really a sign that, the other person is not a right match?
Oh boy, that's a big question. Let me start off by saying that there is a trend for some people, especially if they've gone through bad breakups or divorces and whatnot, that they're happy dating and even being in a monogamous relationship, but living separately.
Yes,
so,
on this show, we've heard of that. Absolutely.
So you have your home, I have my home, we'll date, and they're not necessarily looking to raise a family together. They're not necessarily looking to merge their property or investments together. They're looking for that companionship without going to the next level of living together. And that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that, the other person's not the right person. They just know themselves and they know that that's what they need in order to find balance and happiness. That's fine. I wouldn't say automatically it's not the right person. If, however, you do meet someone that's compatible in every way, but you just don't want the responsibility and the hassle of letting somebody into your space, then it's a question of priorities. What do you value more? And if you value your time alone in your space more than you value being in a relationship, then maybe you're not really looking for a serious relationship.
Frank, I hate to put you against the clock, but we got time for one more question.
One more, let's go.
It says, do I tell my girlfriend of 3 years that I had a same-sex experience when I was in college? It was just an experiment and I'm not gay, but we're talking about getting serious and I'm not sure if I should tell her. I've never told anyone about it.
Okay, if you have never told anyone about it, there's a reason, and that's because maybe your social circles or your environment probably may not be supportive, or you're worried about how it's going to change things for you. You have to find out before you tell her whether or not she would be open to something like this. Some women are not. Or some women are open to it when it's other people, but not necessarily for their partners. There's ways to discuss these types of topics, the discussion of sexuality, the discussion of people having experimenting. You could watch movies like 50 Shades of Grey and try to open up these conversations, and you can gauge a person's reaction without revealing your secrets. I would stress, however, if you are planning to get serious and you reach the point where the two of you are engaged to be married, then you'd better tell the person and make sure that they know everything. You want them to be able to make an informed decision. And if they opt out, a broken engagement, much better than a nasty divorce.
But if it didn't mean anything, it happened once, didn't mean anything, he's not gay, it was just an experiment. Why is that anyone's business to know?
Because she has the right to know who she is committing to. And even though it doesn't mean anything to him, it might mean something to her. Because if it's one of those things where if she finds out and that's enough for her to say, I don't want to get serious with you, it's better to be honest and give her that option to get out.
I'm going to squeeze one more. What if you're not that person anymore? You're really not that person. Let's say you committed crimes when you were younger and
And you have a criminal record,
Yes.
which means that you can't travel. And the person that you want to marry wants to travel the world and can't do it, and you only tell them after you're married.
So you need to be honest, Frank. That's what you're saying.
There you go. It's about trust, people.
All right. That's it for us, guys. Already at the end of the program, Frank Kermit, dating coach, author, speaker, behind multiple audio lectures. You absolutely need to go to his website. More of the awesome advice he shared here, and you can connect with him directly, franktalks.com. Thank you for being here tonight, Frank.
It was amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. This was
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you to all you texters out there. It's what makes the show tick. I want to thank Dave Simon on the other side of the glass for getting this show to air. That's it for me, everyone. Dr. Laurie is back tomorrow night. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to keep you company during the evenings. If you want to connect, it's at Paris Mansouri on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You've been listening to Passion. Have a great rest of the evening, and remember to fill your life with passion.